This deck was originally created in the 1830s and printed by the factory of Johann Georg Rauch, which was later taken over by Johannes Müller. Now, it was based on the Tarot de Besançon, which in turn was derived from the Tarot de Marseille, so it looks like a, Marseille-type tarot deck. This deck is usually known as the 1JJ Swiss Tarot, JJ referring to Juno and Jupiter, who replaced the Pope and the Papess. Now, in Switzerland, traditionally this deck was mainly used for playing card games, such as Troggu in the Walliser Deutsch-speaking communities in Valais, and Troccas, which is from the Rumantsch-speaking communities in Grisons. Traditionally, Troccas players used the French-labelled cards, but the players also came up with their own Rumantsch-language nicknames for all of the cards, and these nicknames have recently been incorporated into a special 1JJ deck with the labels in Rumantsch. Specifically, I think, or at least at the same time, tying into a show on Swiss TV about the game of Troccas. As you'll see, many of the names on the cards aren't translations of the traditional names of the trumps from the Tarot de Marseille, for example, but instead, they're the names that Troccas players actually use in gameplay. You can really see the influence of German, particularly, terms that come from Central European tarot games, in the names of some of these that the Troccas players call them. Number one, for example, Il Pagat, obviously like Pagat in Central European tarot games. Number two is La Gallina, referring to Juno's peacock there. La Gallina means the chicken. Number three is L'Imperatura, the Empress. Number four, Il Imperator, the Emperor. On his shield there, you can see the name of the maker of the cards, A.G. Müller from Schaffhausen. They make most of the famous Swiss playing cards. Number 5 is Jupiter, the other J in the deck. Number 6, the lovers, Ils Enamorés in Rumantsch. Number 7 is Il Car, and number 8, La Giustia, justice. Number 9 is Il Padre, the father, in the sense of like a monk or a priest. Number 10, La Ruota della Fortuna, wheel of fortune. 11, La Forza, and number 12 is Il Pendio, the hanging man. Number 13 is La Mort, death. Number 14 is, in Rumantsch, they call her the angel. Now, obviously, the picture is actually the virtue temperance, but, I mean, the girl there has wings, so you could call her an angel. Il Angel in Rumantsch. Number 15 is Il Diavol, the devil. Number 16, which is the tower or the house of God, depending on your deck, or thunderbolt in some decks as well, is Il Tiara Triemble, which in Rumantsch actually means the earthquake. I guess that tower does look like it could be being destroyed by an earthquake or some other act of God, it all works. 17 is Las Stelas, the stars. Number 18, the moon, La Luna in Rumantsch. Number 19 is Il Soleil, the sun. And number 20 is Il Trament, the judgment. At least I think it means a judgment. I couldn't find it in my Rumantsch dictionary. Now, what's interesting though also, because they call temperance the angel, trump number 20 in a lot of Italian decks is actually called the angel, the one that is the judgment there. For example, in the Tarocco Bolognese, when they move it up to the highest one and call it l'angelo. Anyway, back to these. Number 21 is Il Mund, the world. And the fool, again, influence of German, is called Il Narr. So onto the plain suits, and the first one I'm going to show you is the suit of swords, Spadas, in Rumantsch. The ace is very pretty. Looks like a lot of traditional tarot decks where you have the ace of swords and the ace of clubs being held by a single hand. The swords are curved. If you're trying to tell your swords and your clubs apart, basically the clubs are straight, the swords are curved. They're all numbered in Roman numerals. Then being a tarot deck, you have 4 court cards. You've got the Bub, which in Rumantsch means the boy. Also a loan from German. Buber is the jack in a German deck. Bub de Spadas. The knight they call the Cavall. A bit like in Italian decks, they call the knight the horse. Yeah, so the horse of swords. Cavall de Spadas. Regina de Spadas is the queen of swords, and the Reg de Spadas is the king of swords. Then you have the suit of coins, which in divination decks is often called pentacles. But here in Rumantsch, they actually nickname it flowers or roses, Rosas, which is partly because that's just what they look like, but also from the influence of the Swiss Jass deck, the deck that is used by Swiss Germans to play the game of Jass, which is not a tarot game, but it is actually also a really fun family of card games. Maybe I should put some videos up one time how to play some of them. Anyway, that's your suit of Rosas. Notice that the two of coins, like most tarot decks, has the banner with the maker's name on it. So it's got Müller card producers of Schaffhausen. Then we've got the Burg de Rosas, and then the Cavall de Rosas, Regina de Rosas, and the Reg de Rosas. Next, this is the suit of Copas, or cups. Notice that the ace has the Swiss cross on it. The 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. I love the illustrations on these, like all the little incidental stuff surrounding the actual suit symbols. The next plain suit here is clubs, or Bastons in Rumantsch. I really like the way that some of them, this is from a lot of traditional texts, if you look at the Troggu de Marseille and Troggu de Besançon and stuff, where most of them are like straight ceremonial batons, but you do have one or two that look like the rough-hewn clubs straight off a tree, like the ace there. The long suits, aces and swords and clubs, both of them, the ace is a single hand holding the suit symbol there. I also like that the Cavall de Bastons, the knight of clubs, also has one of the rough-hewn ones, whereas the others have the more straight up and down regal ceremonial batons. So that's the full deck. It's produced by the Schweizerische Radio- und Fernsehgesellschaft SRG, and you can also buy them from the website of the Le Romantscher, who are a group who promote Rumantsch language and culture in Switzerland. There's the website there. That's all from today. Don't forget to subscribe.